When you're trying to decide whether a piece of tech is worth the space on your shelf, the first thing I ask myself is, will this actually solve a problem I have? Or am I just adding another gadget that gathers dust? With golf launch monitors, the stakes feel especially high because they sit at the crossroads of sport, data, and a fair bit of expense. If you've been scrolling through reviews and still feel a little hesitant, you're not alone. The FlightScope Mevo Gen2 promises a portable blend of launch monitoring and swing recording, but does it deliver on the promises that make it a worthwhile addition to a home practice routine? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's start with the core question. Who really benefits from a device like the Mevo Gen2? If you're a weekend golfer who usually hits the range once a month, you probably already know the basics: club head speed, ball flight, maybe a rough distance estimate from a GPS watch. For you, a high-end launch monitor can feel like overkill, especially when the data you get isn't going to change a swing that you only play a few times a year. On the other end of the spectrum, touring pros and swing coaches need millimeter-level accuracy and the ability to dissect every nuance of a shot. The Mevo Gen2 lands somewhere in the middle. It's built for serious hobbyists and low-handicap players who want more insight than a simple rangefinder, but who don't need the lab-grade precision of a full-scale launch bay. One of the most practical strengths of the Mevo Gen2 is how it handles real-world environments. The unit is marketed as portable, and you can literally set it up on a carpeted basement, a backyard hitting mat, or even a small indoor simulator space. The built-in front-facing camera captures your swing from multiple angles, and the software stitches those views together with a shot tracer overlay. In my own testing, I set it up in a cramped garage where the lighting was a mix of ceiling fluorescents and a single lamp. The camera managed to lock focus on my swing without hunting, and the shot tracer stayed smooth enough to see the arc of the club head. That reliability in less than ideal lighting is a big win for anyone who can't afford a dedicated studio space. Autofocus confidence is another area where the Mevo Gen2 shines for its price point. Many entry-level action cameras struggle to keep a moving subject sharp, especially when you're swinging a driver at 100 miles per hour. FlightScope's firmware seems to prioritize the swing plane, keeping the club and hands in focus while the background remains pleasantly blurred. I noticed a slight lag, about a half-second, when transitioning from a warm-up putt to a full driver swing, but the final frame was always crisp. If you're planning to review your swing on a phone or tablet right after a session, that level of focus is more helpful than a constantly shifting image. Low-light behavior, however, does have its limits. The sensor isn't as sensitive as a dedicated cinema cam, so when you push the device into a dimly lit basement after sunset, the footage starts to introduce noise, especially in the shadowed parts of the swing. The built-in LED ring helps a bit, but you'll get cleaner clips if you add a modest floodlight or shoot during daylight. For most indoor practice sessions, a simple desk lamp does the trick, but don't expect Hollywood-grade footage in a dark garage. Stabilization is handled in software rather than through a physical gimbal, which keeps the hardware compact. The result is decent for static shots. Your device sits on a tripod or a sturdy shelf, and the video stays steady. If you try to handhold the unit while moving around the range, you'll see the typical wobble you get with any lightweight camera. The takeaway? Treat the Mevo Gen2 as a stationary recorder. It does its job best when mounted securely. Battery confidence is a common pain point for portable devices, and the Mevo Gen2 offers roughly 4 hours of continuous operation on a single charge. That's plenty for a typical 90-minute practice session plus a few rounds of video review. I did notice the battery indicator on the app drops a little faster when you're running the full Pro package software alongside the camera feed. If you plan on long weekend sessions, keep a charger handy or consider a power bank. Just be aware that the unit doesn't support pass-through charging while in use. Now let's talk about the lens ecosystem. Unlike interchangeable lens cameras, the Mevo Gen2 comes with a fixed focus lens that's optimized for the 0.5 to 1 meter sweet spot typical of a swing capture zone. There's no way to swap lenses, so you're essentially locked into that field of view. For most golfers, that's fine because you're usually aiming to capture the entire swing arc rather than zoom in on facial expressions. If you were hoping to use the unit for other types of video, say, vlog-style content or landscape shots, you'll quickly feel the limitation. The menu system is straightforward, but it can feel a bit clunky the first time you power on.